Guys, I want to tell you right now, it is hot as balls out here. The humidity is just killing it right now. And I'm off to do a little vlog on a historical site around here. So if I can get through my off-roading construction zone stuff, we'll be on target. This project started off with redoing a lot of the sewer lines in town. I think it started back in March or February, and all they've managed to do is tear up the roads, tear up the spot that they tear to store the construction vehicles. It's horrible. I thought about squidding it today, but I'm going to be going out and getting on this highway. I didn't think it would be the best idea. So here's the storage lot for all that construction equipment. There used to be a parking lot for the lodge. I mean, it's town property, but as you can see, they're taking full advantage of it. Sure does look like rain, but I didn't see any on the weather radar, so I want to make this trip quick, I think. But I'll tell you, it's hot. It is very hot. So this road we're on we're getting ready to get on here is Highway 301. And we're going to be going by Fort A.P. Hill, which is a military base that was established in 1941. And played a major role, apparently. I don't know the whole history. I just briefly looked at it before I came here. It was a staging area for General Patton's headquarters and Corps troops, where they staging area for the Allied invasion of French-occupied North Africa back in I think 42 or so, in the beginning of World War II. So that's pretty cool. I brought my camera because I wasn't sure if there's going to be some spots around here that I could get some photos, some wildlife. There's a lot of, I noticed there's one lake I go by every morning. I see a great, or an egret out there doing its thing, fishing, hunting, whatever you call it. And I've been wanting to stop and get a picture of it. So I brought my trusty ancient senior citizen Nikon D700 and a Tamron 150 to 600 millimeter lens, and hoping I could get a good shot of it without getting close. Has yet to be seen. But it is hot, man, it is hot. So the place we're going is it's just a marker, because I'll tell you the story. So let me look at my notes real quick. So the original plan for Abraham Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth and his co-conspirators had a plan at one point to kidnap Abraham Lincoln instead of assassinate him. And John Wilkes Booth was an actor, or a play, worked in plays and that kind of thing, and he was very much anti-Union, anti-United States, anti-Abe Lincoln, anti, all that good stuff. So he was very friendly with the Confederate people, Confederate soldiers and troops. And actually, he took a hiatus from acting for like 10 days or so to go to Montreal, where Confederate intelligence folks gathered, or Secret Service folks gathered, and conspired to overthrow the Union. Well, after General Lee surrendered at Richmond, when the Union took Richmond back, John Wilkes Booth had another plan, and his plan was to assassinate Abraham Lincoln. And then he caught word. He went to the theater. the theater, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head, I apologize, to collect his mail, and he heard that during the play that day that President Lincoln, his wife, and Ulysses Grant were going to be in attendance. Now the vice president was also supposed to be in attendance. No, not the vice president, but General Ulysses Grant canceled, and him and his wife left Virginia to go visit family in New Jersey or some such shit. Well, John Wilkes Booth had had a co-conspirator to assassinate I think the Secretary of State it was, as well as the Vice President, whose both attempts failed, obviously, except for John Wilkes Booth. So he hid in the president's box, shot him in the back of the head with a .41 caliber Derringer, jumped onto the stage, screamed something about tyranny, and fled away. And later on, they fled away, and they got out of, I mean, I don't know the whole story of where they went, but somewhere along the lines there was a myth that he hurt his leg jumping onto the stage, but the truth is he hurt his leg when his horse fell on him while they were escaping. So anyway, they finally made their way here to Port Royal, and right outside of Port Royal in Bowling Green there was I think it was the Garrett family had a farm, and John Wilkes Booth and his co-conspirator hid out in the barn, and there was a posse of Union soldiers. I think it was 20-some Union soldiers, and I don't really apologize, I don't remember the names of the leaders or the guys in charge of that unit, but they were intel guys, and they were able to catch up with him. Even back then, you know, they were able to catch up with John Wilkes Booth. They floated down to the river. They came out. The Rappahannock River's right down here. And they tracked him to a barn, a tobacco barn on the Garrett family's farm. And John Wilkes Booth, they surrounded the barn, and his co-conspirator surrendered. John Wilkes Booth said that he is not going to surrender, and they set the barn on fire, and one of the Union soldiers saw him moving around inside the barn and shot him in the neck. He claimed that he saw John Wilkes Booth raise his pistol to shoot at them, but the guy in charge of the unit, Cogit, I think is his name, wrote later that the guy who had shot John Wilkes Booth in the neck fired without, you know, orders, and basically they were supposed to bring back John Wilkes Booth alive, and this guy ruined it. And anyway, he wasn't supposed to have been shot, but he was. So he was shot in the neck, and I think he died 6 or 3 hours later, right before sunrise the next day. And I can't remember what he claimed to have said. The bullet, they tore his neck up, severed a vertebrae, paralyzed, blah blah blah, but he wanted to see his hands, so they supposedly they held his hands up in front of his face so he could see them, and he was said to have mumbled useless, useless. So that's where we're heading today, and I hope I haven't passed it. I can't remember exactly where it was. So the Garrett family farm was in this general area. I don't remember if it was on the median or whatever, but we'll stop at this marker and see what it says. And so yeah, right here in my backyard, the the assassin who murdered Abraham Lincoln was captured in a barn here on a Garrett family farm, a tobacco barn. And here we have it, Assassin's End. So what this sign says is, this is the site of Locust Hill, Richard Henry Garrett's farm. Early in the morning of 26 April 1865, a 16th New York Cavalry Detachment cornered John Wilkes Booth, the assassin of President Abraham Lincoln, and his co-conspirator David E. Harold. As the two men slept in Garrett's tobacco barn, Harold gave himself up, but Booth refused to surrender. The barn was set on fire, and Sergeant Boston Corbett shot the assassin, still inside. Booth was laid on the porch of the Garrett's house and died about sunrise. The house and barn stood a short distance from this spot. So, you know, that was a long time ago. So none of that is here anymore. But so here we go, an Assassin's End. A lot of traffic on this road. I'm not sure I want to hang out too long. Now about 20 more miles from here is the a bridge that Bronco Ride mentioned. Yeah, we're not that far away, about an hour, hour and a half. And the Harry Nice Bridge, I think is what it is. I would go there, but I don't want to cross it. Maryland has some very strict laws against something that I'm currently doing, so I don't want to go over there and get risk getting in big, huge trouble. So we won't. We'll just continue to ride down through here. I want to take a couple minutes and thank you. If you watched the video all the way to the end and you're seeing this, I really, really appreciate it. I'll put my email address and my mailing address right over here somewhere. And if you have stickers you want to send me, I'd appreciate it. Talk to y'all again soon. Goodbye.